Okay, we're back. So, we want to talk a little bit about what constitutes a scale. So, we hear a sound like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or that old song, do, a deer, a female deer, re, and so on. I don't know the words, so I'm going to stop at re. But that sequence of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do that we hear in scales is actually mathematically on the keyboard is this distance between one note and the next note, one note and the next note, one note and the next note, one note and the next note. So these distances are referred to as two things. They're either a half step. Let's think of a circle. So we have either half a circle or we have two halves of a circle, which makes a whole. So just kind of keep that uh, half whole in mind as we're talking about half steps and whole steps. So let's draw our circle one more time. We'll split it right down the middle as best we can. So we've got half a circle, and half a circle. Okay, and when we put the two halves together, we get a whole circle. Okay, so that concept of two halves equal a whole. Pretty basic. Keeping it simple. So to go from one key to the next available key, so from this key to this key, from this key to this key, from this key to this key, those are all half steps. Okay? To go from C to D, we usually have to do, let's change this arrow here if we can. See how good my eraser works. So to go from C to D, we go to this key, and then we go down to this key. So that is two halves, a half plus a half. So we're going to call that a whole. Okay? To go from D to E, again, we're going up to the black key and down to the white key, which again would be a half and a half, or a whole. Now, there's two different ways to get to a half step. We can go from a white key to a white key, or a white key to a black key. And we don't have any white key to black keys in the key of C. That's why we start with C. It keeps it nice and simple. So to go from E to F is a half step. And as you can see, these three are also whole steps because we're going from the black key to the white key. Black key to white key makes a whole step. I'm sorry, from white key to black key and then to the other white key. So one half step, another half step, whole step. One half step, another half step, two halves together equals a whole step. One more, up a half step, and down a half step, or let's say across. It doesn't matter. Let's just think to the next available key and the next available key. We've got a whole, and then to go from a white key to a white key, it's a half. So this sequence here of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, that is the same interval or the same distances for any major scale that we use. All music is based on major scales, and arpeggios, which is a new word, but don't worry, it's just every good boy. Or good boys do. Those are arpeggios, which we'll talk about later. But any scale that you hear a song in, or any song you hear, is going to be in a key. They're not all in the same key, but the intervals that occur in those scales, at least in the happy songs, is going to be this right here. It's the most basic way to think about intervals, or let's say major scales and their intervals. All right, we'll be back to continue our search for music, learning how to read music. All right, cheers everybody.